Hey, my friends, it's Andy over at today's CBD oil coming to you live from Brea, California on a Sunday night at 6 p.m. I realize it's been a long time since I've talked about the endocannabinoid system and why CBD is needed. Not would be nice to be in our body. It is needed in our body. It is an essential dietary supplement like vitamin A, C, D, and all that. And so I wanted to come on. Like I said, it's probably been I don't even know, 6 months since I've spoken on stage on the ECS, the endocannabinoid system. I have done broadcasts on the endocannabinoid system, but it seems like it's been a long time since I've talked about it. So I'm going to talk about it right now, right after this. All right. So what gave me the idea to talk about this subject again tonight is that, when you go to church, now, again, there's a little bit of a warning I want to give for those of you that aren't, religious, aren't Christians. This isn't a Christian show. I'm not trying to convert anybody. There's just some things that happen with me in my life that I like to talk about. It just so happens this happens to be, it kind of was generated from being at church today, and the message that our teaching pastor was talking about on this particular subject matter. And it just said, you know what? It just spoke to me in the sense that not only the message was powerful that he had about Jesus being born and what that meant to the world, but about other things, about things that sometimes we are resistant in listening to. And let me give you a passage. I took a picture of the screen, and then I'm going to show you. And as you're joining, would you please post your comment? Tell me that you're watching. Say hi. Tell me where you're watching from. All that kind of stuff. If we're good friends, I probably know where you're watching from. But just say hi and write a little bit of comment. So this is the screen that I took a picture of, and just in case you can't read it, I'm going to put it down here below too. But he was talking about John 3:19, and again, this isn't a religious message. I'm not giving a sermon right now. I'm just sharing something with you. But in that passage, it says, "This is the verdict: light has come into the world." Light being Jesus Christ. So this is right at the time that baby Jesus was born. And the light in this passage is referring to Jesus. And so, hold on, I'm turning off notifications. And so this is the verdict. Light has come into the world, but people love darkness instead of light because their deeds were evil. Now, this is going to sound very strong as you look at that, and you think, "Wow, you're going to try to tell me that my thoughts are evil, or I'm thinking evil." That's not the direction I'm going. Again, there was a lot more to this message during the day, but what he was essentially saying is that, over the years and the thousands of years since Jesus was born, people have called into question whether, Jesus exists, where God exists. And, there's some great theologists and defenders of the religion that would ask people, if Jesus was like, if I could produce Jesus so you could actually see him, if I could produce God so you can actually talk to him and see him and maybe even touch him and feel that he actually exists, would you then believe in God? And there are people that even then said no. And so what he was saying in this message is that even presented with the truth, even presented with this thing that you think is a myth or non-existent, that even if presented, there are still those that would never believe it. And the reason that caught me and kind of caused me, thank you, Mark. Yes. And I'm glad to see you on here today. The reason it caused me to come back to the endocannabinoid system and teach that is because I've been doing these Facebook Lives for a very long time, right? I've been doing them since before Facebook Live actually existed. I've been doing live broadcasting in a lot of different platforms and teaching and trying to show people, whether it has to do with dog training or whether it has to do with marketing, writing a book, becoming a best-selling author, and how to use that to get on stage, to get on television, all that kind of stuff. No matter what that subject matter is, I know there's always resistance from some people who are seemingly just happy where they're at, right? There are people that are even just happy in their non-success or their in their pain and discomfort for some odd reason. As a detective, I used to investigate sex crimes and child molestations and child abuse crimes. And there's something called Munchausen syndrome. I always say screw that up, by proxy. And what that is, it's a parent, and usually it's a mother, more often than not, it's a mother who pretends their child is sick or causes them to be sick because it gives her attention. Everybody wants to pray for her. Everybody, is trying to make you dinner so that when you're going to the doctors, they're taking care of you. They're giving rides, and there's this focus that people can become addicted to in this darkness. So in this darkness, they kind of also like the attention they might get from darkness. So there's all kinds of different ways of looking at that. And the endocannabinoid system, and even Viseo and Overcome Nation, the brand and the product that I give you, no matter how much I show you how much weight I've lost, right? I can show you before and after pictures of me of losing 40 or 50 pounds. I can show you, and I have shown you the charts for my blood pressure to see how far that it's dropped, and said, since I've been taking CBD oil, my blood pressure has improved. I used to be diabetic. Here's the letter I got from the doctors that says I'm no longer pre-diabetic. I can, show you me at the gym lifting weights, where just a year or two ago, I could not even lift this water bottle with my left arm over my head because the pain was so great. Now I'm lifting 55-pound dumbbells over my head, doing shoulder presses or bench presses or flies and all kinds of stuff, where I can show you those things. And no matter what I tell you, you'll still say, I don't believe it. I'm happy where I'm at. If I show you how much money I make in network marketing, and that, while I'm sleeping, people are ordering product or joining me as brand partners, or they as brand partners are bringing in people that are buying product. And so then that money is coming into my checking account or into my account with Viseo. And I can tell you all that, and you still will not come across. And that's why that message from the pastor was so powerful, right? And I think I'm going to put that somewhere, because I have to remind myself that I have to maybe try different ways to show you why what I'm telling you is true, or it is light. It's light on the subject of your pain and discomfort, of the pain from your arthritis. It's the light for your bank account. I'm showing you how you can improve your bank account. Now it takes work, right? It's not that it's just going to magically appear and you're suddenly going to get rich. That's not what I'm telling you. I'm telling you that Viseo is one of the top 50 healthcare companies in the world. They have a great payout plan. They have great founders. They Overcome Nation has a great teacher. We have a free business school. We have all these fantastic things. That is the truth. And there's some of you that have been watching me for a long time and still have not made the move. And you're always interested, right? I can see people watching. I can see people commenting. I can see people, ask, or, text message me or emailing me or even calling me and asking me for more information. And yet you're still not making that move. Hey, Mary Lee, nice to see you. And so I thought, now I'm going to come back, and now we're going to talk about the endocannabinoid system. I'm almost going to start over again over the next several weeks and just reintroduce why it is I got started in this business in the first place and why it affected me. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen here. Now, for some reason, I cannot play the keynote, in the sense that I can't show you the slides full screen. Let me try one other adjustment here to see if I can hide this button here. Hopefully, yeah. So I'm gonna I gotta find one more little adjustment here. How can I need to get rid of this? Where is that button? There is a button for this. Where does it go? Animate document. I want to get rid of that. Darn, there is a way to get rid of it. Now I can't think of what it is. I'm trying to grab it and move it. Oh, well. Well, I just got to leave it the way it is. All right. So we're going to talk about the endocannabinoid system, the most widespread receptor system in the human body. It really is a real thing. And I'm going to take you through the science behind it and show you what I know about this great system and how it all works. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and get rid of let me put this solo, make it a little bit bigger for you, because some of the words are going to be small, unfortunately. And I really wish I could make it play so that it would fill the screen, but I can't get it to do it for some reason. And as things change, technology changes, all kinds of things. Well, there you go. Oh, no, that didn't do it either. Oh, well. All right. So the endocannabinoid system. Wow. For some reason, I can't talk tonight. Is a real thing. So if you want the slides, and I wrote a paper on the ECS system. If you go to ecscbd.rocks, ECS for endocannabinoid system, CBD for cannabinoids, and .rocks. If you put that into a browser, it'll bring up what's called a virtual business card for me. And if you scroll down on that business card, you'll see all these buttons. You click on those buttons and they will take you to the slides, take you to the downloadable PDF for my, it's actually part of my book that I wrote, and it'll talk about the endocannabinoid system there. So you can get the slides and the paper on that if you do that. All right. So let's find out about somebody first. So we have the scientist, Dr. Raphael McCullum. I've talked about him several times. He is an amazing man. He is a professor at Hebrew University in Israel, and he is known as the father of cannabis, Raphael McCullum. Look him up. Look at the videos and interviews that he has done. There's documentaries on Netflix and oh my gosh, Amazon Prime that I've watched that features him and his studies, and this is the real deal. This is the guy who's discovered all this thing. And so in 1960, Raphael McCullum was the first scientist who isolated THC and CBD. This sparked interest in how cannabinoids work in the body. So he actually got some marijuana from the local police department there in Israel illegally. He was able to talk some cops into giving him some marijuana, and he began to isolate the CBDs and the THC in marijuana and in hemp. All right. So that is where it all started in 1960. Right. And so this is actually fairly recent if we're looking at the world of medical science and that kind of stuff. Now, before 1960, there were a lot of products that were being used and medications in China in the thousands of years prior to 1960. They have been using CBD-based products and THC-based products for healing and for different kinds of stuff. And prescriptions were being prescribed by doctors prior to the 1960s. So it is interesting to me that they really did not begin to understand why. They were just using it because they knew that it worked. They didn't really understand why it worked. But Raphael McCullum was doing that work now to find out why it worked. So 1960 is when he was able to isolate those two things. All right. So in 1970, Raphael McCullum discovered we have receptors that are sensitive to CBD. So he began searching for endogenous cannabinoids in our body. So we had receptors in our body that accepted CBD. So being a scientist and knowing what he knows about this particular subject, he knew if we created something like CBD, then if we had receptors, then our body must create CBD because the receptors in our body are to receive those things that our body creates. In different forms and different manners. And so because he was able to discover those receptors, he began to look for endogenous cannabinoids. All right. So in 1992, very recent, 1992, the first endogenous cannabinoid was found by Raphael McCullum and researchers at the NIMH, National Institute of Mental Health. They called it an anandamide. Endogenous cannabinoids, endocannabinoids is what he would later call it, are cannabinoids produced by our own body. They discovered that anandamide attaches to the same receptors as THC does, the CB1 receptor. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the CB1 receptor in just a little bit. But anandamide got its name from Sanskrit word ananda, which means bliss. Now I'm going to go ahead and come back to my screen here and bring this down just a little bit. Hey, Steve Hunt, nice to see you. Oh, I meant to go out of solo mode. Here we go. Oops, no, here we go. All right. So that anandamide, that script that describes it as bliss, is because it attaches to the CB1 receptors, which are in our head, right? And so it was known that CBD, once it hits the endocannabinoid system and begins to affect our CB1 receptors, it begins to relax us. And this is the first signs in 1994, right? When all of this, 1992, when all this was coming together for Raphael McCullum and the other scientists that were doing the research, is that they were seeing why, right? They were seeing why, previously to all this research, that children that were having seizures when given CBD would stop having seizures based on the research. Now, the FDA has not approved anything I'm telling you right now. I have to tell you that as a disclaimer, but I'm telling you in my research, they were using it to help people with seizures, and especially children, way before, Charlotte's Web even came around. But it was being used to help people with seizures. And now they're discovering why the CB1 receptor, and when connected, where CBD would then be connected with that receptor, that CB1 receptor, that those seizures would stop, that we would become calm, and that, maybe they didn't know what PTSD was back then, but that's why some people with PTSD seem to be, have positive results from taking CBD. All right. So now back to our slideshow here. Man, I'm going to lose my voice again. I hate it when I do that. I have to learn how to talk better. And I've needed to do that for many, many years. Okay. So, all right. Now here comes 1993. The second cannabinoid receptor was found. These are CB2 receptors, are predominantly located in the nervous system as well as the immune system. They'll later find out that CB2 is also found in the brain, but not as prolific as the CB1 receptors. But CB2 is now those receptors that regulate what happens in our body, in our nervous system, and our immune system. So 1993, again, very, very recent. And then 1995, the second endogenous cannabinoid was discovered by Raphael McCullum's team, and they named it and a big long name, which I'm going to call 2AG. Arachidonolglycerol. All right. They discovered the 2AG binds to both CB1 and CB2 receptors. So a very powerful cannabinoid, which is, again, produced in our body. Our bodies create CBD. And so this is all coming together as recent as 1995. So it has not been known until then. That's why so many doctors, so many people don't know about it, because many medical books don't talk about the endocannabinoid system, right? Nobody in at least the medical profession that I have talked to were necessarily taught this in medical school. And that's what I've learned from the doctors that I've taught at some of the places where I've been able to speak to doctors at doctors' conventions. So we now know. So 1995, we now know that in the body of mammals, there are two main cannabinoid receptors: cannabinoid receptor type 1, which is CB1, and cannabinoid receptor type 2, CB2. And it's very important that you understand that our body actually has receptors that receive the cannabinoids. And it is at this point in our history that Raphael McCullum and scientists discover what is known as the endocannabinoid system, the ECS, that this is a huge system. It is the most prolific system in our body. And so cannabinoid receptors are found all over the body. They are everywhere: the brain, the spinal cord, the immune system, the internal organs, the peripheral nervous system, and even on the skin. The endocannabinoid system is the most widespread receptor system in the human body. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and again come back to my screen here and just talk for this for a second. And this really is what I'm talking about when, oops, exit screen. All right, come on, baby. Oh, here we go. Sorry about that. And this is what I was talking about earlier, is that I can tell you these things, right? I can teach doctors these things. I can, do these Facebook Lives. I can hold webinars where, chiropractors and physical therapists will watch and listen to me and that kind of stuff. And I use actual scientists, and I've actually, will share some of the information over the years that I've been able to find on the studies that have been used. And yet they still want to live in the darkness. Right? The doctors at Kaiser that I've spoke to about the CBD and the endocannabinoid system, they put their hand up and they said, I don't even want to hear you right now. Right? They don't even want to understand. They don't want to listen to the information. They rather live in the dark. Right? I'm presenting them with truth. I'm presenting them with light. I'm presenting them with factual information that has been not just Raphael McCullum, but other scientists have proven. Can I say that? I'm not sure if I can say that without getting into trouble, but have seemingly proved that CBD, when introduced to the body and absorbed, that's another key thing, that it needs to be absorbed, right? The endogenous cannabinoids in our body are obviously absorbed because our body created them and they go in. But the additional CBD that we need, which I'm going to talk about in just a few seconds, is what I'm talking about, that once you begin to tell people that you need this as a dietary supplement, it's not, you only when you're hurting, only when you're sick, only when you have high blood pressure, only when you have PTSD do you need CBD. No, we all need it because we don't get enough in our body. It's something that needs to be a part of our daily life because our body continuously needs it. All right. And I'll get back to the presentation here just so that we can get to that part where I'm going to make sure and hopefully make this clear as to why this is something we need all the time, not just when we're sick or injured. All right. So I'm going to repeat this really quick, just for some people that are joining a little bit late. But the cannabinoid receptors are found all over the body. They are everywhere: the brain, the spinal cord, the immune system, the internal organs, the peripheral nervous system, and even on the skin. The endocannabinoid system is the most widespread receptor system in the human body. So what is the importance of the endocannabinoid system? The endocannabinoid system is a very integral system that modulates almost everything within the body and essentially our overall health, which I had in there, but I don't know, it got deleted somehow when I was saving it. But it is responsible. The endocannabinoid system is responsible for our overall well-being and our health, just so you know. All right. So the endocannabinoid system is a very integral system that modulates, there it is, our overall wellness. Oh, I didn't put it on that other slide. I don't even need that other slide. Why do I have that other slide there? Oh, I know it happens. Never mind. When I'm playing it, it actually transitions and goes together here. I have a magic move there. Anyway, all right, like you needed to know all that. So let's go through some of the things that it affects. The gastrointestinal activity, the cardiovascular activity, our pain perception, modulation of neurotransmitter release, maintenance of bone mass, protection of neurons, hormonal regulation, metabolism control, immune function, inflammatory reactions, inhibition of tumor cells. Does that not sound important? The endocannabinoid system is a very integral system that modulates almost everything within our body and our overall wellness. Just look at that list of stuff, right? That is an incredible amount of activity and neurons and regulations that this one system is responsible for. So why do we need CBD? As we get older, we produce less and less endogenous cannabinoids. Remember that we produce cannabinoids, but as we get older, like all the other stuff, right, we also need to take supplements for other things that we begin to stop producing that begin to affect us, right? That's why some women begin to grow a mustache. That's why some men, lose the ability to do certain things, and all this kind of stuff is because our body begins to change. We begin to produce less of those things that help regulate those things that are positive in most cases, and things begin to change. So then we have been starved from CBD for several decades thanks to the prohibition. So back when marijuana and hemp became prohibited, then we didn't have our cows being fed hemp any longer. We didn't have lotions being made out of hemp. We didn't have hemp is a very important resource to the world, and it was to the United States, because essentially every clothing was made out of it, lotions were made out of it, soaps were being made out of it. Again, we were using it for feed for cows, so it was a very big part of our world prior to prohibition. Then once it became prohibited, then we did not have those things in our daily life. And again, even pharmaceuticals contain some CBD. We have more today. We have far more carcinogens and other harmful substances in our food and air than ever before. More stress and physical /brain damage in our lives than ever before. I'm going to go ahead and come back one more time to the screen. I keep doing the same things all the time. Okay, here we go. So what was I? Oh, when I talk about physical and brain damage on a daily basis, I give this talk also about sleep. Our brain, during every waking moment of our daily life, is being damaged. So essentially in this lecture by Dr. West, Matthew West, I believe his name is, he wrote a book called Why We Sleep. But in that book, I think that's the title. And don't, if you can't find it, I think it's Matthew West. If you can't find it, message me, I'll send it to you. But he talks about that every waking moment of every day is causing brain damage. And what sleep does is it fixes that damage. And so our body, same thing, as we're moving or we're lifting weights, we're damaging the muscles, right? That's how we gain muscle, is by breaking down the muscle. It repairs and it gets bigger. That's how our muscles get huge, like mine. And so our brain is not that resilient, right? It's not good to damage our brain. And so we need sleep. We need nutrition for our brain, right? We need to hydrate. We need to hydrate, make sure we're drinking water. Hopefully not all these plastic bottles, but I do. And we need supplements like CBD. So CBD, along with all those other things I described, begin to repair that damage. And so that's why it's a continuous need. regardless if you have cancer, regardless if you have arthritis, regardless if you're pre-diabetic or diabetic, regardless if you have PTSD, you still need CBD. It's not just for those people that have an injury or that are sick or injured. You need it continuously. We're damaging our brain every moment that we're awake on every single day, no matter if you're working or not. You could be retired and you're still damaging your brain. You still need sleep. You still need nutrition. You still need to hydrate, and you still need CBD as one of those things that will help your brain recover from the damage that's being caused from living in this world on a daily basis. All right, back to the presentation, and get me out of here. Get me off the screen so you can see what's going on. All right, so that's why we need CBD. Need, not if we need, not, only when we're in pain. We need it on a daily basis. All right. So, that was the last slide, because then I go on to something else. Here's me and my police dog before I had to put him down. This is a whole part of a whole nother presentation. And then here's some pictures of my kids. So you'd have to come watch me speak and talk about this, because this will all make sense a little bit later on. All right. Oops, I got rid of it too soon. Let me bring it down. All right, so I hope that all kind of made sense. That way I gave you the shortened version of the presentation. The endocannabinoid system is real, right? It was discovered essentially all came together in 1995. All came together. Raphael McCullum is a real man who exists, and I believe he's still alive today. I've not heard anything different. He's still around. Hey, Jamie, nice to see you. Oh, Janie, not Jamie. Sorry about that. London's on. Thank you, London. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Thank you. Steve Hunt, Mary Lee. Some of my good friends. Sorry, I'm flashing these up so quickly you can't see them all. But all my favorite people are on here today. So if there's any doubt in your mind, if you're afraid of the light of the truth about CBD, whether we need it, just look it up, right? You don't have to believe me. Look up Raphael McCullum, research, watch some documentaries, watch what's going on with him. Google it, right? Google Raphael McCullum, Google the endocannabinoid system. You'll see plenty of stuff. You'll probably find my book at some point there about everything that I talked about here. I go into greater detail. Again, if you want to, hold on, I got to bring it up again. I did something. Hopefully it's not mad at me. Hold on, let me bring this. If you want more information, including a white paper, all you need to do is go to ECSCBD.rocks, ECSCBD.rocks. Put that in your browser, and you'll see my virtual business card pop up. In there is the white paper and other information, and I think there's some documentaries I have some links to. I can't remember everything I have there. It's been actually I have it pulled up here. I want to make sure that these links are going to the right place. Now that I haven't been there. Okay, good. Yes, it says Viseo. All right. Yeah, because sometimes I've forgotten. I used to be part of another company. So if something comes up and it's not Viseo, let me know so I can fix it. Yeah, and you can have the CBS. You can order CBD and join me, book publishing, order form, blah, blah, blah. So there's other stuff on there. Okay. So yeah, so you go to that and you will find all that stuff. All right. So a couple more comments just came up. I'm going to give you, I have my second book. You can get my first book. My first book talks more about the old company that I was with, and that's not a problem. I think you'll understand that I used to be with that company, and then I discovered the truth about absorption, that, a pure CBD oil is not the best product out there. And I've talked a lot about this, and I was not really going to go that direction, but let me just talk about it just really quick. And that is that I used to be with this other company. I was getting results from the CBD I was taking because I was taking a lot of it. But the reason I had to take a lot is because our body doesn't absorb it very well. And so I was taking an enormous amount of CBD that I was getting a result from, but my body was only absorbing 6% of what I was taking. It was costing a lot of money because I was going through 2 bottles, in a very short period of time. And, but I was happy with the results. Other people were trying the same CBD product and were getting no results. And I had to figure out why. Well, the absorption is the biggest thing. You have to make sure that the CBD is in a format and has partnering ingredients in the formulation so that our body will actually accept it and allow it to be absorbed in our body. Liposome technology is the technology that it uses right now. to the sales product, the CBD1 product right here. There's liposome technology in this bottle. And so when we take it, even though it's a smaller amount in regards to milligrams, we absorb something like 90% of it. So you don't need as many milligrams. People get all caught up. Like, how many milligrams is yours? Is it 1,500? Is it, 800, 900, whatever it is? And I say, you know what? It's not, if I told you, which I don't even know how many milligrams are in there, but it doesn't matter because ours has liposome technology, which allows you to absorb the amount that's in there, right? If you're only absorbing 6% of, say, 800 milligrams, that is not enough to help much. You're probably not going to see the results. Again, I was taking the largest amount, 750 milligrams, and I was taking probably 5 times what they recommended I take. And that was the only way I was going to get results. That was the difference. And so I want you to understand that you can hear me speak about the endocannabinoid system, about CBD, about CB1 receptors, CB2 receptors, about all the things I just talked about. But if you take CBD and you're not absorbing it, it's still not going to do you any good. All right. So I'm shedding the light, right? I'm sharing the light of the truth, of the facts, of the scientists, of the science behind everything. But now you need to also partner up with a product that actually works, right? That has some type of delivery system that gets it into your body. That is the other caveat that's so important. And you cannot forget that part. So if you missed it, if you're joining in after my presentation I just gave, you need to go back and watch it. That is just one portion of the story, right? But I didn't want to fog your mind with all the other stuff. But I do think it's important that you understand that if you're watching this that have not watched me before and you're thinking, wow, I didn't know we had an endocannabinoid system. I didn't know that there was a scientist by the name of Raphael McCullum who's done decades of research with alongside other scientists and professors who agree with Dr. McCullum, right? I didn't know that. I didn't know that there is people that are being helped with their PTSD. I did not know that there were people that were having seizures that suddenly stop as soon as they get CBD put into their system. I've seen it. I've seen the video. I've seen dogs that are in the middle of a seizure, get CBD put into their mouth, and the seizure stops like that. Why is that important? Because every seizure causes brain damage, right? I just got through telling you every day that you're awake, you're causing brain damage. Can you imagine having that plus a seizure, and the brain damage is going to be much harder to recover from? All right. So it is so important that you understand that CBD is needed every day, whether you're sick or not. But you also need to have a delivery system that gets into your body. Viseo is one of the few products on the planet in regard to CBD that has a delivery system that helps it get into your body. And they're at a price point that is not higher than the ones that don't, right? You're paying the same amount for the products that you don't have any results from, right? You're paying $70 a bottle for those products that will get you no results, and you're peeing most of your product out, wasting it down the drain of the toilet, as opposed to taking a product for the same price that is much more effective and doing what it's supposed to do to your body. All right, let me go through some of these and make sure I'm not missing a question here. Wow, a whole bunch of people popped on and began talking. And I think most of you missed my presentation. So let's go through this. So Janie, nice again. I see, love our CBD. I've helped about 6 cats and dogs with it too. Nice. Nabi from my Australia, my down under friend. All right. It's okay. What I do? I forgot what I said to be okay. Want your book? Cool. I mispronounced your name. I said Jamie, not Janie. All right. So, thank you. Sometimes I don't think I'm trying to be funny, and I start laughing at something. All right. Hey, Sass, nice to see you. We're going to get an interview on the schedule. I keep talking about it, and yet we don't do that. All right. True. No absorbing. I did the same with another company. Was not working well for me. Not milligrams. It's the absorbing amount. Right. Oh my gosh. That is so good. Thank you for sharing that. I need to be better at taking CBD. I know I could benefit from it with my health issues. Yes, you could, Sass, but I'm shocked to read that. I'm beyond mental health, no matter how much CBD. No, you're not, Nabi. You are amazing. Hey, Cindy Lynn, nice to see you. My friend. Take it twice a day. Yes. I'm listening. Uh-oh. I must have said something that sounded like Siri. All right. Hey, yes, Sass. I that is shocking that I read that. Sorry. My fantastic friend. You need to be better at it. You need to go. I was reading it and talking at the same time. You go, Janie. All right. So there we go. So one last time, I'm gonna actually go back and share this thing again one more time. So just because I want to, and I can. It's my show. I can do what I want. All right. So this was at church today. And this is what it says. And this is why we're on this planet, I think, some of us. Many of the people that are joined today, including Cindy Lynn and Sass and Janie and London, you guys are on this planet for this reason. And I'm just going to go through it one more time. So John 3:19 says, this is the verdict. Light being Jesus Christ, has come into the world. Again, this is not a religious show. I'm not trying to convert anybody. Let me go through this first, and I'll explain why I'm sharing this with you. But in church today, our pastor, which is there on the left-hand side, our teaching pastor, Chris, he's a fantastic guy. This is the verdict. Light has come into the world. This is when Jesus was born. But people love darkness instead of light because their deeds were evil. Now, with saying that and putting that out there and not making, I'm not, trying to say that you're evil, or, if you're not, religious or a Christian or what have you. I'm saying that even when the light, and what the pastor was saying is, even when presented, because it was brought up by another, somebody who had written a book, a Christian book, and he was speaking at a college, and he asked, what would it take for you to believe in God? Right? Because he is an apologist. And so he's teaching people about the truth of the Bible, that kind of stuff. Right. And so he presented the question, what would it take? If I had Jesus Christ, if I was able to bring him into this room and have him walk here in his sandals and his robe with holes in his hands and holes on the top of his feet, would that convince you that there's a God? If I brought God in, right, with his big white beard and his long white hair and, with his staff or whatever he's carrying, whatever he carries up there in heaven, if I brought him in, would you believe in God? And the student said, no. And this is what this means, is that even when presented with the truth, right, even if it was possible, there are still people that will not believe, right? Same thing with my business, same thing with Viseo, same thing with Overcome Nation, same thing with, even if I bring you Dallin Larson, right? I could bring you Dallin Larson. I can put you on the phone with Dallin Larson. I can put you on the phone with Daniel Piku. And there's still people that are going to say, no, I don't believe you. I don't believe that this is the best network company in the world. I don't believe network marketing is even a real business. It's that pyramid thing. It's a scam, right? Even presented with the truth, even when I show you, I can show you bank accounts. I can bring you Rick Gutman, a multimillionaire in network marketing. Oh, he must know somebody, and he was able to do it because of blah, 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 right? There's all these other things. Even presented with the light, there's still people that are going to say, I don't believe you. Even when I present you with the endocannabinoid system and Raphael McCullum and the science behind why our bodies need CBD every day, not just once in a while, Sass, not just once a year, not just only when I'm in pain, only when I'm suffering from PTSD, only when I'm suffering from anxiety, do I need CBD? No, it is something that we need on a daily basis because our body creates CBD, but it doesn't create enough. Right? It is in some foods like kale and broccoli and that kind of stuff, but we don't eat enough. Right? Same thing with vitamin D, vitamin C, vitamin A. We need that. We can try to have it in our diet, but we often need to take a supplement because we don't get enough. And so even with presenting you with that truth, even when presenting you with that light, there's still people that say no. Again, I speak at doctors' conventions. I've spoken to doctors face-to-face, one-on-one at the luncheons and the network things that I do in Nashville, Tennessee with the doctors' convention that I've done a couple times out there. And they still... well, I don't know, I might get in trouble. Is there enough research on it? What is that? I don't even, medical doctors, endocannabinoid, I've never heard of it, right? They've never been trained about the endocannabinoid system. Why? Because it was just discovered in 1995 and it's not in the old medical books that they are getting and being taught. It's not being taught in universities and colleges. That's simply the truth. Right? The doctors I've talked to at Kaiser put their hand up and even presented with the light. And when they ask me, they go, Andy, what have you been doing? How did you all of a sudden become no longer pre-diabetic? How come your blood pressure is so low? How come you now can move? I thought we were going to do surgery on your shoulder and your neck because you were in so much pain. How come now we don't need to? Well, I've started taking CBD. Coincidentally, since I started taking CBD, all that stuff stopped. Even when presented with that truth, they go, well, it's not the CBD. It's something else that you're doing. And I say, okay, all right, but I'm presenting you with the light. I'm showing you the truth. And yet you're still saying, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to join you in Overcome Nation. I don't want to join you with Viseo. I don't want to be a part of an international distribution company that allows you to make money while you sleep. No, I don't believe you. And they put their hand up, and there's going to be those. But there's going to be some of you that see the light. there's going to be some of you that want to join me and come along with me to the events that we have. We have one coming up in St. Louis, right, Missouri, and we have our convention in Florida that's coming up. I think it's in Orlando, and you can join me. Come and see for yourself and see the light, and then hopefully you'll see the truth at the same time. Whew, I got all pastoral on you there, and I see a whole bunch of other comments. Hold on, let me see these comments. Okay, I'm gonna sad but true. Janie, it's so sad. I just had this conversation last week. Well, you're having it again, whether you're like, thank you, Sass. Oh yes, many like that. They are not open. True, can't eat enough. Right. I could drink this whole bottle, right? I can drink this whole bottle of CBD and it's so good, but you can't overdose. Like people always say, oh, am I going to overdose? Do I need to smoke it? I need to put it in a vape? No, you don't need to do any of that stuff. Or the people say, I tried it, but it tastes horrible. Not ours. Ours tastes fantastic. Our soil is depleted of nutrients. I work in a hospital and supplements are necessary. Thank you, Sass. I'm in Maryville, Tennessee. Well, next time I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, hopefully teaching, again, I will let you know and you can join us. And no longer an option if you want optimal health. Thank you. Absolutely. I feel better and old now than at 45. Better. Okay. I'm glad you feel better. I make typos all the time, so I'm not making fun of you. Join them. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Join me, please. But only if you're willing to work. Don't join me if you're going to be lazy. Don't join me if you really don't care. Don't join me if you just simply want to be rich. Don't join me if you think it's going to happen overnight. Don't join me if you're not interested in changing people's lives. Don't join me if you're not interested of helping people become healthier. Don't join me if you're not willing to share your story and be you and help other people through your story. I'm interested in business people that want to be in business, people that maybe aren't in business but want to become an entrepreneur. And I want people that want to change people's lives. I want people to come with me and be a part of a team where we can all go together to these things and help each other out and join forces and shed some light on this stuff. And so that's what I want, and that's who I want. And I want you to join me. Thank you, Janie. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Cindy and Sass and Mark and all the people. I'm going to miss people now that I started doing that. I hate it when I start. Nobby. I start naming London, of course. I would never forget London. And who else? Mark. Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. Oh, Mary. And thanks for joining. I really do appreciate it. Hope you're having a great Sunday evening. And if you have any questions about any of this stuff, just let me know. If you like this broadcast, I know I kind of went a little bit deeper than, again, I intended. That always happens if you've not known me. Apparently I talk too much when I'm interviewing people. I got to shut it down just a little bit. So I got to reduce that down a little bit too. But I do apparently like to talk. All right. So that's it. Share this. If you know anybody that wants to see it, just share it on your timeline. That would be fantastic. Maybe send it to somebody in a private message. That would be awesome. And let them know. And if you go to ecscbd.rocks to get that information that I told you about, that you can download the white paper, you can download the slides of the presentation I just showed you. And you can use it yourself. If you're part of my team, if you're part of Overcome Nation, feel free to take any of the information that I give you and share it. You can take off, if I have my website on there, you can take that off. You can white over it and do whatever you want with it. I'm happy to share that information so that if it becomes useful to you, that's why we're all on the same team, and happy to do that for you all. All right. That's it for me. Have a great Sunday evening and have a great week. I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.